It's Saturday, the 15th of March, 2025. Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to News 360, live from our studios here, number 35, John Hammond Street in Accra. My name is Noble Crosby, Annan.
And I am Judith Brown, coming up this evening.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
Former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta sues Office of the Special Prosecutor and its head Kisia Jabin seeking compensation over the USP's declaring him wanted.
Also in the bulletin tonight, religious leaders in Ghana reiterate the need to protect the country's long-standing religious tolerance.
We have details as foreigners and Ghanaians engaged in illegal mining arrested at Esiwa in the Bosomifrehu district of the Ashanti region.
And much later in international news, South African President's office describes as regrettable Washington's decision to expel South African ambassador.
The details now. Former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has dragged the Office of the Special Prosecutor and head of the institution, Kisia Jabin, to an Accra High Court. He's asking the court to order payment of compensation to him on the basis that the OSP unlawfully declared him wanted.
The Special Prosecutor on February 12 declared the former Finance Minister a fugitive from justice. This declaration was justified on the basis that Ken Ofori-Atta had failed to show up when requested to do so by investigators. He is said to be the subject of multiple corruption investigations, hence the invitation by the anti-graft body. He was therefore declared wanted. His lawyers have, however, maintained the investment banker is unwell and is currently being monitored while he prepares for a major medical intervention. The OSP on February 18 announced a removal of Mr. Ofori-Atta's name from the wanted list after receiving communication indicating a firm date for his arrival into the country. Lawyers for Mr. Ofori-Atta are unimpressed. They want the High Court to rule that the Special Prosecutor acted unfairly and capriciously in declaring the politician wanted. They say Mr. Ofori-Atta's details remain on the website of the anti-graft body as a wanted person. They therefore want the court to rule that the rights of the former minister have been violated.
Well, that's not all. Let me walk you through some additional details in terms of the reliefs the former finance minister is seeking. Amongst them is this: a declaration that the Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabin, as a lawyer, breached his duty to act fairly and reasonably when he sought to change the content of his agreement with the former minister through a media briefing. What this is saying is that the former finance minister wants the court to officially state that Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabin acted unfairly by changing what was agreed with him during a media briefing. Also, that for the immediate removal of the photograph and details of the applicant, and I'm talking about the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, from the wanted list on the website of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So he's asking for his picture and details to be removed immediately from the OSP's website, where he's wrongly listed as a wanted person, according to Ken Ofori-Atta. Also, for the payment of some compensations for this, unlawfully declaring the applicant wanted. That's the first one. The second is this: unlawfully publicizing on the OFC's website that the applicant is a wanted person. And the third, directing the OSP to post document that it may require from the applicant for the investigations and serve same on the solicitors of the applicant for them to furnish same. He wants the OSP to pay him money for, one, wrongfully declaring him wanted, publishing on their website that he is a wanted person, and forcing him through his lawyers to provide documents for investigations. Now, we're also looking at this. An injunction restraining the office of the special prosecutor from carrying out its threat of taking necessary legal steps to secure his return into the country. These are some more of the reliefs that the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, is seeking as he sues the OSP and its head in an Accra High Court. And as expected, this latest development coming from the former finance minister has divided public opinion, people sharing diverse views on this. But stay with us here on our media general platforms on TV3, also on our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. In our subsequent bulletins and subsequent discussions, we'll get you more on the reactions that have come after the former finance minister took on the special prosecutor.
Now, in other news, Finance Minister Dr. Cassie Alatoforcing is rallying support from members of Parliament to approve the 2025 budget estimates crucial for executing the government's economic policy. Now, speaking at the opening of the 2025 post-budget workshop in Parliament, he emphasized the government's commitment to fiscal discipline and debt sustainability, highlighting plans to amend the Fiscal Responsibility Act to introduce a debt ceiling.
The post-budget workshop brings together members of Parliament to delve into the intricacies of the national budget, its policies and its economic impact. Designed to enhance legislative scrutiny and informed decision-making, the workshop provides a platform for robust discussions on Ghana's fiscal outlook. Speaker of Parliament Alban Gbagbo charged members to make judicious use of the workshop to enhance their understanding of government's policy outlook for the
I'll bring you details of this story much later in the bulletin, but we have more stories for you, and religious leaders in Ghana have reiterated the need to protect the country's long-standing religious tolerance. Now, they have warned that restrictions on student rights to practice their faith in some schools could undermine national unity.
The Amir and missionary in charge of the Ahmadiyya Muslim mission in Ghana, Al-Hajj Movi Mohammed Ben Sali, emphasized the need to safeguard the country's long-standing religious tolerance. His call comes amid concerns over religious restrictions in some schools. Speaking at a recent meeting with the Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Al-Hajj Movi Mohammed Ben Sali highlighted that mutual respect and coexistence have been the foundation of Ghana's religious harmony.
I'm not saying this out of any bitterness. Far from that. There is no need for it in this country. We live in the same compounds, houses. We intermarry. We even exchange names. We only need just a step forward, a simple step forward to make Ghana a heaven.
He noted that some mission schools in Ghana restrict Muslim students from observing their religious practices, a concern that has been raised in various discussions.
There isn't a single Muslim school that you go to find that they will prevent any Christian from performing any of his or her religious duties. Muslims haven't taken any offense to it. We only feel that it is just some misguided person or a few misguided people who are creating a problem or trying to create a problem for this country, but we know that it will not hold.
The Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, acknowledged these concerns. He assured that efforts will be made in collaboration with the Minister for Education and the Ghana Education Service to resolve them.
Together with my brother, the Minister for Education and the Ghana Education Service, together with those leadership of those faith-based institutions, to bring an amicable solution to that. It was also pointed out that most of our sister countries envy the kind of religious tolerance we have in the country. And if a giant step is not taken to recognize and appreciate each other's religion and giving our children the right to worship and observe their religious rights in our training institutions.
Ghana is widely regarded as a beacon of religious tolerance in Africa, with Christians and Muslims coexisting peacefully for decades. The government has consistently called for dialogue between religious institutions and educational authorities to address such concerns while maintaining the country's unity and peace. The 1992 Constitution guarantees freedom of worship, enshrined in Article 21, Clause 1C, allowing individuals to practice any religion and manifest that practice.
Now, away from that, the replacement of Dr. George Ekuffo-Dampare as Inspector General of Police sparked mixed reactions. With rising concerns over corruption, there are huge and high expectations for Christian Tete Yehonu to restore some levels of integrity within the Ghana Police Service. Here is a News Desk report.
The replacement of Dr. George Ekuffo-Dampare as Inspector General of Police has generated mixed reactions. The appointment of Christian Tete Yehonu as Ghana's new Inspector General of Police comes at a time when the 2024 Afrobarometer indicated that the police, the presidency, tax officials, members of parliament, judges and magistrates were ranked as the most corrupt officials. At the swearing-in ceremony at the Jubilee House, President John Dramani Mahama urged the newly sworn-in Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yehonu, to take firm action against corruption within the Ghana Police Service.
Our people look to you for protection. They want to see a police service that is not only professional and disciplined, but also one that is fair and just. They want to be reassured that when they report crimes, they will receive a swift and impartial response. Public trust in law enforcement is essential. Without it, effective policing becomes difficult. Mr. IGP, your role will also involve rooting out corruption within the service. Corruption in law enforcement undermines justice and weakens public confidence in our security agencies.
Christian Tete Yehonu assured that he would uphold the values and traditions of the Ghana Police Service aimed at reinforcing the integrity and professionalism of the service.
Guiding principles will include discipline and respect for seniority within the hierarchy structure of the service. So I assure you, Your Excellency, that professionalism, transparency, accountability, and fairness shall underpin my administration and focus on renewing attitudes and performance, thereby positioning the service to meet the aspirations of our people and foster peace and security in our country.
The Director of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center, Professor Kwesi Annan, has been speaking about the former IGP's removal and the effort to test the law on the removal of security heads.
A couple of days ago, there were all these rumors. So this was just, the injunction was just to tell us we have this case pending. So it has nothing to do with the present government at all. This is about security governance and the manner in which we seek to deepen professionalism and issues around integrity when those in office have not reached the mandatory age for retirement.
Legal practitioner Martin Kpegbu maintains that under the current law, the president has the right to choose his own IGP.
When the Supreme Court comes out with the interpretation, then the court will also decide whether it's prospective or retrospective. You know, the Domlevo one, when it came out, but then it was too late. The horses had bolted, Domlevo had retired. So it means that it's prospective. So a lot of the time, most probably, if a favorable interpretation comes for them, it will be prospective, going for the new IGP. But usually, IG position is a security position. Right. It's not one that you say independence of the government. No, it's a security position. So each president comes and then he has to take his own IG.
Speaking on the key point, economic policy analyst Senyor Hosi stated that the former IGP, George Ekuffo-Dampare, improved the state of the police service.
I am clear in my mind that the president appreciates Dampare. The only problem is that a few things seem not to have been managed on the communication side. I don't think that this exit was a planned exit of the president for Dampare. I think Dampare was planned to be a celebrated person who may have been exited in a very honorable and beautiful manner. I am clear in my head that the president had to show his ownership and leadership of the process.
The minister in charge of government communications, Phyllis Kwachiofosu, stated that President Mohammed's decision to replace Dr. Judith Dampare as IGP was to enable the president to chart a new direction regarding the security of the country.
Once a new person emerges as president, I think that the general expectation is that he will make changes in the direction of the country. So key institutions of state, like the security agencies, which the police service is a major plank of, should expect some change in direction. So I expect that even the heads of these agencies will hold themselves in readiness for such a day. It is nothing personal. It is not a judgment on the performance or otherwise of the current occupant of that office. It is just a change that the sense that if the entire country has found it necessary to change direction, then institutions too must change in terms of leadership.
Meanwhile, the former IGP has stated that despite leaving office, he remains ready and willing to serve the country with discipline, honor, and integrity.
Now, the acting Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator, Captain Retired John Jabari, has reaffirmed the government's commitment to tackling illegal mining, also known as galamsey, in the region. He spoke with the media in Isiwa in the Bosome-Freho district after a joint security anti-galamsey operation that led to the arrest of several foreigners and Ghanaians.
The security operation included personnel from the police, Immigration Service, Minerals Commission, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and National Security. The operation resulted in the arrest of several perpetrators and the seizure of mining equipment, including 6 excavators. Among those arrested were Chinese national, an Indian, Burkinabe nationals, and other Ghanaians involved in illegal mining activities. The acting Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator, Captain Retired John Jabari, stressed the importance of collaboration between security agencies.
We have seized about 6 excavators. Currently, we are leaving them at the assembly, and the police will keep watch over it. As you are aware, the regional minister has set up an anti-galamsey task force, comprises of all the security services. So if you can see, we have police, we have immigration here, we have national security here, we have EPA, we have mineral commission. All of them are part of it. So as when we are supposed to move, we move to where we are supposed to work. So our work has started.
The foreigners arrested during the operation have been handed over to the Ghana Immigration Service. The security coordinator also raised concerns about the role of mining equipment suppliers in fueling illegal mining activities. He called for stricter enforcement of licensing regulations and better oversight of mining operations.
The people that were arrested, the Chinese is somebody who hires machines to those who do the mine. That's Sunny. We have an Indian who also hire machines to these miners. So there's something that we have to consider. This is a major road network that is within Esiwa. And all those who are mining over there, we have Mineral Commission, we have EPA, none of them have any licenses to do work over there.
The activities of illegal miners over the years have led to destruction of hundreds of acres of forest cover and farmlands, as well as the pollution of destruction of rivers and streams in parts of the country. President John Dramani Mahama, at the swearing-in of Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Emmanuel Amakufiboa, charged him to implement measures to deal with the menace of illegal mining in Ghana.
Well, illegal small-scale mining, also known as galamsey, may not be the most desirable occupation, but for many it has become a source of income. In this report, my colleague Christopher Marco highlights the ongoing fight against illegal mining and the reality of the resistance by the miners.
Illegal small-scale mining in Ghana has been a major contributor to deforestation, pollution of water bodies, the atmosphere, and devastating farmlands. It has also contributed to serious health challenges and an increased number of school dropouts in mining communities, posing challenges to sustainable development. The hopes for a better tomorrow, livelihoods, survival, and possible breakthroughs of thousands of young men and women in mining areas depends on illegal small-scale mining.
We started in 1985. Me and Crosby from Takwa
I have been mining since 1985, and despite operating without a license, our activities have been generating revenue for the country.
I'm from Wa. I came here to do some small mining, and the work we are doing is management. Sometimes you get small, sometimes you not get anything. When we get the small one, we send it home and go and start something doing. Now, I've been able to save small and use small too to build a house. Life here, maybe it's too hard for us.
Can I say I fell past a lot? As myself like this, my junior brother, we both completed JSS together, so we're not having money to go to school. I dropped out. Then I went to Galamsey site, so I was able to raise some of the money to give it to my brother to go to senior high. But obviously, I've also finished the senior high to university.
But how is illegal small-scale mining affecting the environment and water bodies?
The unethical way we do the mining. So people dig, they extract their gold, and they don't cover the pits.
Successive governments and other stakeholders have over the years advocated for regulating the small-scale mining regime. For the illegal miners, though their activities destroy the forest and river bodies, the processes of acquiring a license is cumbersome.
Illegal mining, cooperative,
Currently, our sector lacks a formal association which has limited our ability to obtain necessary licenses and regulatory support.
The past few weeks has seen some aggressiveness by the various regional coordinating councils across the country in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. Close to 100 illegal miners across the country have reportedly been arrested. Additionally, close to 100 excavators and other mining equipment have also been impounded by the various security task force that invaded the mining areas. For the Savannah Regional Minister Salisu Biarubi, the impunity with which the illegal mining activities is done, especially along the Black Volta River, is worrying.
It's terrifying. It is a lot. In fact, I'm heartbroken. The level to which even some people go to block some river channels from flowing naturally through their course, and to which they are using heavy equipment to be able to mine the area.
The Forestry Commission estimates that about 6.6 million hectares of Ghana's 8.2 hectares of forest trees have been depleted over the years through indiscriminate human activities. Currently, the country's remaining forest cover of 1.6 million hectares is threatened by illegal mining, lumbering, and other human activities. With a skyrocketing unemployment rate of over 13%, there is a need to comprehensively assess and understand the effects of mining on economic growth, employment, government revenue, environmental sustainability, and social outcomes to inform policy decisions and promote sustainable development in the sector. Christopher Mwako, TV3 News, Bamboy.
Let's head to the Volta region now, and there's growing tension among local farmers in Alabonu, a farming community in the North Ton district of the region. Now, over the alleged forceful takeover of their farmlands by some private investors, the locals lament they are unable to find space for meaningful farming activities, as more than 2,000 hectares of their farmlands have now been given to private investors by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Faisal Abdul-Idrisu has more in this report.
More than 4 different private investors currently occupy over 2,000 hectares of farmlands previously held by local farmers here at Alabonu. The locals depended heavily on this land for farming activities, a major source of livelihood in the area, until 2012.
Man Claro from Togo, my traditional area, brought us some visitors, which he came to introduce them to us that they are from World Bank, the government representative, which they are coming to. They realize there is much poverty and hunger on the land here. So they are coming to help us develop the land for us here, add value to it by constructing canal for us to be doing irrigation farming. They train us for about 4 to 6 months. After training, they've written about 1,500 names, which we were told that we'll be given lands after the development, 1 hectare each to that 1,500 beneficiaries. But in 2014, they came and asked us to vacate from the land.
The introduction of these investors has since the last decade brought pain to the indigenous farmers who now struggle for space to conduct their farming activities.
For those days, some of us can farm on 10 acres of land. Those days, while there's no canal. Some can farm even 15 acres. Me, I have boys about 9 working under me on this land, but today I don't have one. So we are passing through a lot. As we are talking to you today, people cannot go to hospital. God, where do you get the money? So with that, we doing anything about our life, we will still die. So we are going to start from today as we are talking to you. We are going to fight for ourselves.
Some of the farmers allege they have been subjected to all forms of harassment by the new occupants of the land.
We planted rice. I and my brother Jonathan Amawagwe. So on the 21st, I left to funeral at Soakape. Before I came, I realized that my portion where I plant the rice was destroyed by the company. So on the third day, we heard that they are destroying the second plot again. So we came. I came with my brother. So we saw some policemen, about 5, guiding the investors plus their equipment, plowing the thing. Before we came, struggle before they stopped. On the third day, they brought bulldozer to bulldoze the second plot again.
Sometimes we'll be on our own farms and they bring police to arrest us for encroachment. Even the dam we have here, our children can no longer go there and fish. When they go, the white men arrest them for stealing the fish on our own land. Despite several attempts to draw the attention of the authorities, their pleas have fallen on deaf ears. They are appealing to President Mahama to intervene and retrieve their lands for them.
The tension among local farmers here could escalate in the coming days if government fails to intervene. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, TV3 News.
Now, the Ghana Railway Authority has raised concerns regarding encroachment by squatters and acts of vandalism along the Tema and Pakadan Railway. My colleague Stanley Nible reports that officials are racing against time to address these critical issues before the first shuttle rolls out.
The 97-kilometer Tema and Pakadan Railway is designed to facilitate the transportation of goods from the port city of Tema to Impakadan with onward ferry to Gupe in the Savannah region. The shuttle service is set to be launched and fully operational next month. Ahead of the launch, the acting chief executive officer of the Ghana Railway Authority, Dr. Frederick Apo, along with some officials, conducted an inspection tour of the rail line from Tema to Impakadan, uncovering several infractions. A long stretch of the railway's periphery in Tema, Ashaiman, Tulaku and Afienya has been encroached upon by squatters whose activities pose risk to the shuttle service. 2 weeks ago, a female resident of Ashaiman Saki was struck and killed by a train on the stretch, heightening concerns about the need to clear squatters along the railway.
As part of our medium to long-term strategy is to liaise with other several agencies, TDC, Tema Metropolitan Assembly, as well as the police service, to ensure that we will be able to try to seek cabinet approval for the removal of all these people that are illegally occupying the right of way. So basically, this is a medium to long-term strategy, and I don't anticipate that will happen before the maiden service in April.
Further along the route, more critical infractions were discovered around the 61-kilometer mark. Several bolts and nuts fastening the rail to the concrete beams have been stolen, leaving the tracks loose and vulnerable. A metallic structure meant to serve as a buffer stop, installed to regulate the speed of moving trains, has been cut and stolen by scrap dealers. Dr. Frederick Apo insists that all defects on the rail must be addressed before the scheduled launch.
There are several short-term mitigation action plans that we need to implement as an authority. So it includes, obviously, making sure that all the infractions observed from kilometer 1 up to kilometer 65, I think, all have to be addressed before we start the Tema to Impakadan services. Otherwise, the likelihood of an accident or incident is high.
During the tour, the team encountered a man digging a trench in the buffer area where signal cables for the railway infrastructure have been buried. Other residents have also created unauthorized access routes along the railway, causing sand to clog the drainage system. The shuttle service, once operational, will reduce travel time and boost business along the corridor. However, the level of encroachment and infrastructure damage threatens the smooth operation of the service. The government must take steps to not only secure this huge taxpayer investment, but also to punish those whose activities threaten to sabotage the safety of the public. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Tema.
Now, away from that, Ramadan is a sacred month of fast and prayer and reflection for Muslims worldwide. However, for many women, there's an additional responsibility, making up for fasts they miss due to menstruation. Now, how do they navigate this obligation? Aisha Yakubu Khalid has been finding out.
During Ramadan, fasting from dawn to dusk is a core Muslim practice. But for women who experience menstruation, they are religiously exempt from fasting on those days.
The ladies who are not supposed to be fasting during the month of Ramadan because of their post-birth bleeding or they are menstruating, they are not supposed to be eating in public, just to give some respect to those who are fasting and so on. But the most important thing is that don't do anything intentional to break your fast. If you do it, not only would you redo the day, but there's also other penalty that you have to do, including seeking for forgiveness from Allah.
However, this exemption comes with responsibility. They must make up for the missed fast before the next Ramadan.
Generally, it's a rule in Islam that anything that you do without knowing, you are not culpable. So menstruation happens, and during the day, whilst you are fasting, the fasting breaks and you have to redo it if you are in a state of fasting.
For some women, this can be a challenge. The challenge is not just about time, but also physical endurance. Some choose to fast immediately after Ramadan, while others spread their fast over several months.
I must admit it becomes very difficult, especially when there's Eid, which gives you a feeling that everything is back to normal, and so everybody's just eating. It becomes difficult trying to cope, but I just take advantage of that period. And for the rest of the fasting days or for the rest of my debt, I just match it with my schedule and then my energy level, and so I make sure I complete it before the next Ramadan.
Ramadan and then menstruation for me is always a mixed bag, because I kind of feel left out. I mean, why am I not able to fast? And everybody is able to fast. I mean, especially when you are in a community. I used to miss, I think, quite 7 or 5. Yeah. So with that, what I do is I pay it every other day, or maybe I spread it over the weekends.
Islam offers flexibility. Women can make up their fast at any time before the next Ramadan. Some women also choose to fast alongside friends or family members to make the experience easier. Others find creative ways to remind themselves, such as using calendars or mobile apps.
The time it takes for me to make up missed fast after Ramadan varies year to year, actually. Sometimes right after Ramadan, I feel really energized and ready to continue fasting. In those cases, I can make up for the missed days immediately. Other times, Ramadan leaves me feeling drained and I need to take a break to regain my strength.
But I think the beautiful thing is Allah has made it in a way that whilst you're going about having your period in the month of Ramadan, you could listen to the Quran, and that's what I do personally. When it comes to paying back the Ramadan you miss when you have your period, Mondays to Thursdays, I use that days to fast, so it's not really a challenge for me personally.
But the gap or break in the holy fast is not peculiar to menstruation alone. People who fall sick during the fast or find themselves in situations they did not intend or have control over, which cause them to break their fast, are also required to compensate later. However, if someone is unable to fast due to prolonged illness or other valid reasons, Islam allows them to pay fidya, a form of compensation by feeding those in need. And for women, while making up for missed fasts is a religious duty, they always find ways to fulfill it while balancing their daily lives. Aisha Yakubu Khalid, TV3 News, Accra.
To some other stories this evening, Finance Minister Dr. Atofosing is rallying support from members of Parliament to approve the 2025 budget estimates, crucial for executing the government's economic policy. Speaking at the opening of the 2025 post-budget workshop in Parliament, he emphasized the government's commitment to fiscal discipline and debt sustainability, highlighting plans to amend the Fiscal Responsibility Act to introduce a debt ceiling. The post-budget workshop brings together members of Parliament to delve into the intricacies of the national budget, its policies and its economic impact. Designed to enhance legislative scrutiny and informed decision-making, the workshop provides a platform for robust discussions on Ghana's fiscal outlook. Speaker of Parliament Alban Gbagbo charged members to make judicious use of the workshop to enhance their understanding of government's policy outlook for the 2025 financial year.
We must be able to ask the right questions, assess the trade-offs, and understand the potential long-term effects of the policy choices embedded in the budget. This is an opportunity for us to dig deep.
Leader of the Minority Caucus in Parliament, Alexander Appiah-Markin, encouraged members to actively participate as the workshop will improve the ability to detect inefficiencies and strengthen Parliament's oversight functions.
The technical nature of budgetary processes necessitates regular training programs that are tailored to enhance and increase our analytical skills, improve our ability to detect inefficiencies, and strengthen our oversight functions. So, for instance, the Minister of Finance tells us there's 1.5 billion for agriculture. If you look at the expenditure column, you realize that some 900 million plus has been allocated. So if you pay attention, these are some of the things you discover, and then you make a meaningful impact in your debate. That you can't say 1.5 billion and allocate 924 million.
The post-budget workshop, according to Majority Leader Mahama Yariga, will help members understand the implications of government's fiscal policy directing on their constituents.
The idea behind this workshop is to enable us understand the budget, understand the policy statements contained in them, understand the figures and the implications of the figures for our constituents, for the market women, for the Okada riders, for the teachers, for the students, for all those that we represent here.
For Finance Minister Dr. Atofosing, approving this budget will enable government to ensure fiscal discipline and debt sustainability.
We have outlined a number of revenue and expenditure measures in the 2025 budget to support the achievement of our fiscal objectives and targets, and would like to call on this esteemed House, particularly my colleagues, the members of Parliament, to support these measures and the passage of the various legislations that will operationalize the measures as soon as possible. We are proposing to roll out the 24-hour economic policy to support inclusive growth and job creation. We are undertaking key structural reforms to support inclusive growth, fiscal and debt sustainability, sound public financial management, and efficient public service delivery and good governance. We want to promote fiscal discipline and debt sustainability by amending the Fiscal Responsibility Act to include debt ceiling and the establishment of an independent fiscal council to monitor and adhere to the ceilings.
In other news, health experts at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital have urged the public to be mindful about their health and seek early medical care to prevent diseases. They have advocated for early detection to prevent many diseases, including kidney disease. Now, the call was made during activities to mark this year's World Kidney Day in Cape Coast. Our correspondent, Thomas Khan, has found this report.
As part of this year's World Kidney Dialysis celebrations, the dialysis unit embarked on a series of activities to commemorate the day and use the occasion to sensitize the public about kidney health. The dialysis unit, in their sensitization drive, held a health walk through the principal streets of Cape Coast, where they held placards with various inscriptions to raise the awareness on kidney diseases and how to prevent it. The activities also had a health screening exercise which attracted hundreds of people who turned up to be screened for hypertension, sugar levels, weight and other vitals to know the state of their kidneys. In an interview with Dr. Evans Macready, physician specialist and head of dialysis units, the numbers recorded being diagnosed at the units was worrying. He said about 1,500 patients are attended to at the dialysis unit in a year.
When it comes to Ghana, the figure is still about 13%. And in Cape Coast, we see a lot of patients with chronic kidney disease. In a year, when you go to the renal clinic, we have over 2,000 people attending the renal clinic in a year.
Asked about what those diagnosed with came to the hospital with, he linked it with hypertension, lifestyles and the consumption of foods containing poisonous chemicals, among others. He, however, cautioned the public to seek early treatment to prevent kidney disease.
The main risk causes we've identified as cause for chronic disease here is mainly hypertension and diabetes. There's been previous studies which has done which show that hypertension and diabetes are the commonest causes here.
Christopher Atmakbo, a nephrology nurse at the dialysis unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, on his part said most patients report to the hospital late after failed alternative treatment or seeking spiritual help, and advised the public against such alternative. He revealed that the introduction of the free dialysis helped patients to get regular dialysis sessions, which helped the management of the patients.
So the free dialysis services has come to really help the patients. We are pleading with the government to continue with the free dialysis.
Some residents and participants of the health screening lauded the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital dialysis units for the screening and asked for more of such exercises to benefit the public. The public relations officer of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Frederick Nyanka, also said the hospital had taken delivery of some 2 additional dialysis machines from the National Health Insurance Authority to enhance the treatment.
The hospital is excited about some interventions coming from the government. For example, quite recently, we received 2 additional dialysis machines from Ghana Health Insurance.
The 2025 World Kidney Day celebration was under theme, Are Your Kidneys OK? Detect early, protect kidney health.
You're watching News 360 live from our studios here at number 35 John Hammond Street in Accra. We're going for a quick break. We're back with more stories. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Now, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has challenged women to work hard towards achieving the equity goal they have long sought. Now, at a meeting with women at the Jubilee House, the Vice President stated that women must first support each other, mentor younger women, and ensure inclusion for a systematic change.
Women and girls make up more than half of the country's population, yet access to basic needs and involvement in decision-making remains low. At a meeting with women at the Jubilee House, Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman challenged women to work hard to ensure equity is achieved.
In order to achieve equity, we must avoid, if not completely abhor, condescension, favoritism, haughtiness. Equity must make room and recognize every talent. We need to make positive contributions to resetting our country by ensuring that the environments in which we work are supporting and supportive enough.
She stated that the NDC, particularly President Mahama, should be applauded for paying attention to issues affecting women and girls. The Vice President also mentioned the provision of free sanitary pads for female school children and students, as outlined in the recently read 2025 budget. She urged women to prioritize their health and well-being, emphasizing the need not to only break barriers, but to build bridges to ensure that no woman is left behind. The Chief Director at the Presidency, Eunice Osai, encouraged women to build their capacity in order to take up roles in governance and other sectors.
We need to be determined, we need to be intentional, and we need to prepare. We need to acquire the requisite qualifications, the skills, and we need to position ourselves for higher positions and responsibilities.
News 360 goes for a quick break. When we come back, Biele Shen has all the latest in the world of sports. Stay with us, please.
Sports segment is brought to you by
Cal 360 toothpaste.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Lishe. Now on to our first story. Ghana's national under-17 men's team, the Black Starlets, continued their scouting in the Western region earlier in the week. The team, led by head coach Frimpong Manso, was at Kobe's Park to scout for talent for the national under-17 team. Francis Hima was there and has the details in this report.
The scouting for the national under-17 men's team landed at the Western region's capital, Takrady, here at Kobe's Park, where the head coach Frimpong Manso and his technical team came around to scout for talent. Hundreds of young footballers showed up to show their skill and ensure that they will be selected to be part of the national under-17 team. Frimpong Manso, who is the leader of the technical team, had this to say about the appearance, and definitely he was impressed.
Now the main problem is just we've seen the players, we've selected them, but they need to deal with the MRI first before you can say yes, this player qualifies. Other than that, maybe we can go and then none of them will go through the MRI. So with that problem, we're also expecting it. So we need to make sure we clear the regional exercises first, and then they go through the MRI. That is where we will really see the numbers or the kind of players that we've got. So as at now, yes, we've picked them, but that is not the end.
Some of the players who came around also said this after the exercise.
I'm very excited and happy. Selected me, and I will train to get the full squad.
Now let's move some steps higher to the camp of the Black Stars, because former Black Stars midfielder Rabiu Mohammed believes the current squad is bereft of confidence and has urged the players to fight in the upcoming days ahead of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Chad and Madagascar. Ghana had a tumultuous 2024, failing to win a game in the 2025 AFCON qualifiers, but are in good position at the World Cup qualifiers with 9 points from a possible 12 so far.
Yeah, I see that
this team, they lose confidence in yourself. And if you look at the individual player, they have the talent, they have ability, they have everything they're supposed to be in Blaster, but they lose confidence in themselves. And I know that they can do better than this, and I wish like this coming days their confidence will come back and they can win a lot of matches. When they started playing fight on the pitch, no matter how the game is, just fight, win balls, pass balls, run your best, and your confidence will come back.
Of course, Rabiu Mohammed was a former Asante Kotoko player, which brings us to the Ghana Premier League, where Asante Kotoko fought back to earn a crucial point against defending champion Samatex in a pulsating encounter at the Century Sports Arena on Saturday afternoon. The 1-1 draw ensured the Porcupine Warriors remain at the summit of the league table earlier in the day, though their position could be temporary. Samatex took the lead in the 39th minute when Dramani Ewua unleashed a powerful low drive that found the back of the net. Kotoko's informed striker Kwame Opoku got the equalizer, which is his 6th goal of the season. And Artifolk are currently playing against Dreams FC. It's the second half, and they are trailing by 1-0 against Dreams FC. Now let's move abroad, where it is a big blow for Ghana as Brighton defender Tariq Lamptey is out of action in his club's 2-2 draw against Manchester City, and his possible return remains unknown as he had an injury in training, and the Black Stars are currently preparing for their World Cup qualifier against Chad and Madagascar. It was good news, however, for Nottingham Forest as they beat Ipswich Town by 4-2 to move 1 point off second-placed Arsenal. Is Billy Shed. Up next is entertainment.
In entertainment news, earlier today, organizers of the 2025 Telecel Ghana Music Awards unveiled a list of nominees for the 26th edition. Now, this announcement comes after the closure of the nomination filing process, with several categories already revealed, including Best Male or Female Vocalist, Best Hip Life Song, Best High Life Song, and Best Hip Hop Song. Now, the final set of nominees will be revealed during an event tonight at the Grand Arena, where activities for the much anticipated 26th edition will also be announced. It's shaping up to be a busy weekend for stakeholders, and you can count on 3 Entertainment for all the latest updates.
And that's your entertainment. Let's now bring you some news across the Ghanaian border.
We begin tonight's international news on the deepening rift between the United States of America and South Africa. The office of South Africa's president has described as regrettable U.S. decision to expel the South African ambassador. This comes after Washington's top diplomat accused the envoy of hating America and President Donald Trump. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Friday that South Africa's ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, was no longer welcomed in the United States, South Africa's presidency said in a statement it had noted the regrettable expulsion and urged all relevant and impacted stakeholders to maintain the establishment's diplomatic decorum in their engagement with the matter. The expulsion of the ambassador, a very rare move by the United States, is the latest development in rising tensions between Washington and Pretoria. U.S. President Trump in February froze U.S. aid to South Africa, citing a law in the country that he alleges allowed land to be seized from white farmers. To efforts at ending the war in Ukraine, and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, in a virtual summit of Ukraine allies, has said the coalition of the willing is now moving to an operational phase of practical planning. Starmer says the effort to secure just and lasting peace brings together partners from across the EU, Canada, Australia and New Zealand, with backing from others including Japan. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was also in attendance speaking after the summit. He says a ceasefire would have already happened, but Russia is doing everything to prevent it. Earlier this week, Russian President Vladimir Putin set out conditions for a ceasefire in Ukraine, but Zelensky called his response manipulative. To the Middle East now and to Syria, thousands of people filled the Syrian capital, Damascus, to openly celebrate the anniversary of the revolution for the first time in 14 years, after the toppling of longtime ruler Bashar al-Assad late last year. On March 15, 2011, unrest erupted across Deraa, Damascus and Aleppo as protesters demanded democratic reforms and the release of political prisoners as the Arab Spring reached Syria. Demonstrations were triggered by the arrest and torture of a group of teenage boys a few days earlier in the southwestern city of Deraa and graffiti denouncing al-Assad. A violent crackdown and repression by the government of President Assad followed. In July 2011, defectors from the military announced the formation of the Free Syrian Army, an opposition group aiming to overthrow the government, turning the revolt into a ruinous civil war. It ended with the fall of the regime after a lightning offensive by opposition groups led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS.
Well, that's our package for you this evening. Thank you so much for watching the bulletin. We came to you live from our studios here, number 35, John Hammond Street in Accra. There's always more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby, Annan.
And I am Judith Brown. A pleasure coming to you always. Have a good night.